There's a single moment in almost every interview that quietly decides the outcome, and most candidates never even notice it happening. It isn't the tough behavioral question halfway through. It isn't the salary conversation at the end. It's the very first thing out of your mouth. Because the uncomfortable truth is that a huge number of people talk themselves out of the job in the opening couple of minutes, long before the interviewer asks anything that actually tests what they can do. One answer. That's all it takes to slide from front runner to forgotten. And here's the part that should make you sit up straight. It is almost never the most qualified person in the room who wins. It's the one who handles this very first question the best. Stay with me, because I'm about to hand you the exact formula to make sure that person is you. I'm Dre. I've spent years studying how hiring actually works from the inside, how managers really decide who gets the offer and who gets the polite rejection email. And I can tell you with confidence that interviews are won and lost far earlier than most people believe. The opening question is almost always some version of, "Tell me about yourself," or "Walk me through your background," or simply, "So, tell me your story." It sounds harmless. It is anything but. By the end of this video, you'll have a simple 2-minute formula that turns this question from a landmine into your single biggest advantage, plus a full sample answer you can model your own on. If that sounds useful, do me a quick favor right now and hit subscribe and the bell so the next video reaches you exactly when you need it. Let me start with why this question carries so much weight. Because once you understand that, everything else clicks into place. Most candidates assume "tell me about yourself" is a friendly warm-up, a bit of small talk to settle the nerves before the real interview begins. That assumption is exactly what sinks them. This question is asked first precisely because it hands the interviewer an enormous amount of information in a very short space of time. In the space of 90 seconds, they're quietly assessing how clearly you communicate when you're under a little pressure, how you organize and prioritize information on the spot, whether you generalizingly understand your own professional value, and how relevant you actually are to the role in front of them. First impressions don't just matter here. They set the entire tone. Nail this answer, and you spend the rest of the interview building on a strong foundation. Fumble it, and you spend the rest of the interview trying to climb out of a hole. And interviewers, whether they admit it or not, start forming a verdict in those opening moments, and then spend the rest of the conversation looking for evidence to confirm it. Give them a sharp, structured opener, and every later answer gets read in a more generous light. Give them a messy one, and you're fighting that first impression the whole way through. So let me show you what interviewers are actually listening for, because it's not what most people think. When someone says, "Tell me about yourself," they are not asking for your life story. And they are definitely not asking where you grew up or what you studied at 18. Underneath that one open question, they are silently asking 4 things. Who are you professionally? What experience and skills do you bring? What are you genuinely good at? And why should we hire you over everyone else? Every strong answer quietly addresses all 4. Candidates who ramble, drift into personal territory too early, or simply recite their resume line by line, lose ground immediately because they've answered a question nobody asked. And one thing worth remembering, the people across the table are usually on your side. They want you to do well. A vacancy is a problem they need solved, and they are hoping you're the solution. Your job is to make it easy for them to believe that. Now let me walk you through the mistakes I see talented people make over and over, because you almost certainly recognize at least one of these. Strong candidates with real impressive experience undermine themselves by talking for far too long, by rambling with no clear structure, by opening with personal background instead of professional value, by listing their day-to-day responsibilities rather than their actual achievements, and by forgetting entirely to explain why they want this particular role and how it fits the bigger arc of their career. On their own, none of these feels fatal, but stacked together, they blur your message into noise. And in an interview, a blurry message reads as a lack of confidence, even when you're highly capable. The good news is that every one of these problems has the same single fix. You stop improvising, and you start using structure. So here's the formula. I call it the 5S method, and it works at any level, in any industry, for any version of this question, because it mirrors the exact order interviewers think in. The 5 S's are snapshot, story, strengths, step, and spark. Let me break each one down so you know precisely what goes where. The snapshot is your opening line or two, a clean, professional summary of who you are. This is where you include your name, your profession, your current title, roughly how many years of relevant experience you bring, and the kind of organizations you've worked for. Nothing fancy, just a confident, well-aimed first impression. Think of it as the headline of a news article. In one breath, the interviewer should know exactly who they're talking to. The story is a brief, high-level overview of your career so far. Not a detailed history, not a year-by-year account, just enough to show progression and direction. Start with your current or most recent role, then touch on the key roles that got you there. The goal here is to show momentum, to make it obvious that your career has been moving somewhere on purpose rather than drifting. Then, woven into that story, you deliver 3 achievements, just 3. For each one, give a sentence or two that captures the problem you faced, what you actually did, and the positive result that followed. Keep them recent, and above all, keep them relevant to the job you're interviewing for. This is the moment you stop describing yourself and start proving yourself. Strengths is where you name the core skills and qualities you bring to the table. Here's the insider move most people miss. Before the interview, pull up the job description and identify the top 3 skills they keep emphasizing. Then make sure those 3 show up clearly in this part of your answer. You are quietly matching your strengths to their stated needs, and where it's natural, you're echoing their own language back to them. When the words you use line up with the words on their scoring sheet, you make it almost effortless for them to mark you as a strong fit. Step is a single sentence explaining why you've applied and why this role is the logical next step in your career. This one is small but mighty. Candidates who skip it come across as capable but directionless, like they take any job that pays. Candidates who include it sound deliberate, motivated, and genuinely interested in this role specifically. That difference wins offers. And spark is entirely optional, used only when the tone feels right. It's one light, brief sentence about an interest or pursuit outside of work. Keep it relevant and keep it human. Done well, it softens the close, makes you memorable, and gives a glimpse of the person behind the professional. Done badly or at length, it derails everything. So when in doubt, leave it out. Now I want to share the insight that separates a good answer from a great one. And it has nothing to do with the words themselves. It's delivery. Even a perfectly structured answer falls flat if it's rushed, robotic, or clearly memorized word for word. So once you've built your answer, practice it out loud. Not in your head, out loud, until it feels natural. Aim for calm rather than hurried, and confident rather than rehearsed. Confidence here doesn't come from talent or charisma. It comes from preparation. And when this one answer is genuinely prepared, something powerful happens. You stop reacting to the interview and you start steering it. One small adjustment that helps enormously. Record yourself saying it once on your phone and play it back. You'll hear instantly where you speed up, where you trail off, and where you're using 10 words when 3 would land harder. Most people never do this, which is exactly why most people sound the same in interviews. You won't. Let me put all of that into practice with a model answer so you can hear how the pieces fit together. As you listen, mentally swap in your own details. You'd open with your name, then move straight into it. I'm a customer experience team lead with 6 years in the financial services sector. And for the past 4 years, I've managed a team of 15 support agents at a national retail bank. In my current role, I recruit, train, and develop the team that handles phone and online customer support across the week. And I consistently hit the service targets and performance metrics the business sets. I also own the escalated complaints that my team can't resolve, and I track and report on customer satisfaction month to month. As for achievements, I was promoted from frontline representative to team lead within 2 years of joining, faster than anyone on my floor. Over the past year, I led a project that improved our customer satisfaction score by a meaningful margin while also lifting our call answer rate. And this year, my team was recognized company-wide for service quality. In terms of strengths, I'm a strong team builder, and the clearest proof is that I cut turnover on my team substantially year over year by focusing on coaching and morale. I'm a confident communicator, equally comfortable de-escalating a frustrated customer, managing my staff, and reporting up to senior leadership. My experience has taught me how to lift service standards in a high-volume environment, and I see this role as the ideal opportunity to bring that to a larger team and a bigger challenge. Outside of work, I help organize a local community theater group, which is surprisingly good training for keeping a lot of moving parts on schedule, and I stay active and spend time with family when I can. Notice what that answer does. It moves cleanly through who they are, what they've done, what they bring, and why they want the job, in a way that feels conversational rather than scripted. That's the whole game. A question I hear constantly is how long this answer should be. There's no rigid rule, but here's my guidance. For entry-level and junior roles, aim for somewhere between 1 and 2 minutes. For senior or leadership positions, 2 to 3 minutes is appropriate, sometimes a little more because there's simply more ground to cover. The key is that every sentence earns its place. If a line doesn't show who you are, prove what you can do, or explain why you're here, cut it. And here's a top tip that will genuinely set you apart. When you finish your answer, turn it back into a conversation. Close by asking the panel something simple, like whether they'd like you to expand on any part of what you've just shared. That one move transforms a monologue into a dialogue, signals confidence, and starts building rapport before the real questions even begin. Most candidates wait passively to be interrogated. You're inviting a conversation instead. Quick reminder before I wrap up. Everything here is general guidance to help you prepare and present your experience well. Tailor it to your own background and the specific role because the magic is in how you make it yours. So here's the bottom line. Most candidates aren't losing offers because they lack experience. They're losing them because they lack structure. And once you fix that one thing, everything downstream gets easier. The follow-up questions, the behavioral examples, the salary conversation, even the way you carry yourself in the room. If interviews have felt frustrating, if you've come painfully close to an offer but not quite landed it, this is the place to start. Build your answer, practice it out loud, and walk in ready to take control from the very first question.